6 o'clock, and I'll go ahead and call the Sandy Urban Renewal Agency meeting to order at 6 o'clock. And the agenda has us approving the last meeting minutes from June 16th. A new business of the Ignite Growth program that Mr. Lagarde has been working with, the Economic Development Group on, and we've got a staff report that kind of goes over the concepts and then the actual presentation. So has everybody had a chance to read the minutes for the meeting from last time? And if so, may I get a
Chair, should we have a roll call?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yep.
Is that what you were gonna say?
Yep. Mhm.
Board member Mayton.
Present.
Board member Smallwood.
Yeah.
Board member Sheldon. I think not here yet. Okay. Board member Ramsayer.
Here.
Board member Hanley.
Here.
Board member Hoganson.
Here.
Chair Walker.
Here.
Chair, I have a motion. I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the June 16, 2025 Urban Renewal Board meeting.
Do I have a second?
I will second.
There you go.
I have a motion.
Sorry.
from
No, you're
Counselor
good.
Mayton and a second from Counselor Ramsayer to approve the June 16th meeting minutes of the Urban Renewal Board. All those in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion passes. Okay, new business, the Urban Renewal Financing Programs. Tyler?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. It's been a while since we've had to change titles, so you might get called counselor or mayor during this conversation. I'm
All
not
right.
chair and
What are the rest of us? Board members?
Correct.
yes, technically.
What?
I'm an executive director
Board
right now.
member.
Take that
Okay,
hat off
yep.
later and put
Stand
on a city
corrected.
manager hat.
Doesn't matter.
Technicalities. Anyways, back to business. So the Urban Renewal Agency has, operated with several grant programs for many, many years. There's been a lot of interest expressed by the Urban Renewal Board on sort of revamping some of those programs, seeing where and how urban renewal dollars should be used in a more impactful way or strategic way. And recently we brought John Lagarza and Healthy Sustainable Communities on board to help us just in general with economic development. John has spent a lot of time talking with staff about how we could better utilize some of our urban renewal dollars. And so we kind of gave him the green light to meet with local businesses, see what's hindering them from moving forward with some of their projects that they have in the pipeline, what would be helpful. He's sort of compiled that information and created a couple different grant programs that he'll go through this evening. I'll just add that the Economic Development Advisory Board reviewed all of this information last Wednesday. It received very favorable feedback, lots of excitement around what the future holds for our Urban Renewal District. The city of Sandy, obviously as a whole, but specifically with these programs, the Urban Renewal District. So I won't steal any of your thunder, John. I'll just let you kind of hop into how those meetings have gone,
Yep.
what you're proposing this evening, and then staff and John are happy to answer any questions throughout the process.
Thank you, Tyler, and good evening, Chair Walker and board members, John Garza, Healthy Sustainable Communities. And just happy to be here this evening to talk to you. In your packet, you'll see there was the new proposed Sandy Ignite program. And we basically, what we've done over the last couple of months is really reach out to the business district and interviewed and talked with several property owners and business owners to see what is the opportunities to really think about how we can drive some of those urban renewal dollars to move some of these projects forward. In your packet tonight, you'll see there's 3 programs that we have. And really looking at the first program is the Business Community Conceptual Design Grant Program. That's a program that we would set aside $100,000 there, up to $400,000. And that opportunity would be for folks to be able to come in. These programs are a 50% match. And what we found is, some of these property owners or business owners need to kind of go to that next step, and they need a little support to work with land use and planning to figure out what would fit on their property. But at the same time, we want them to be able to come in and have a matching, 50% match on that. So that's the Business Community Concept Design Grant Program. The capital improvement
Do you
grant.
want questions as you go?
Let me go through all 3 if that's okay, then we can talk through. Is that easier, Tom?
Yeah.
Thank you so much. The second one is really looking at the capital grant program, and that's up to $100,000 there. So they could, that would be a 50% match that they would be required on on the capital improvement program.
Sorry, do we have the numbers switched on that? I think that one's the 400 and the other one was the one.
Well, we would set 400,000 aside
Oh,
for
I see.
that, within the urban renewal fund. So up to $100,000 an applicant could apply for. And then the third would be really looking at a revolving loan program. We'd set aside $1 million for that. They could apply for up to $250,000. And we could structure some financing. A lot of times this becomes kind of like a gap financing. These programs will really help, again, to think about how we move forward to the next steps on some of these properties. It will require, business owners or property owners to submit 3 years of their income statement, balance sheets, and really be able to look at that. So we'll vet them out to make sure that the investments that we're making are successful investments, right? But at the end of the day, what we found is the larger investments have the opportunity to really move these projects to the next steps forward from that standpoint there. So happy to answer any questions and from there.
The first the first grant program you mentioned, you said 100, and then you said.
I
the
meant
fourth-
25,000 up to 25,000.
Okay, so the first one's 25,000 up 100,000.
Yes, sir.
And that's an annual or biannual or?
We've talked about launching this, if you would approve it tonight, in January. So getting out, having the application open and do it twice a year to see what kind of recipients we would get. I think what we'll see is different, what I'm seeing is there's some different stages of each property at different stages. So some need some conceptual help to go to that stage. Some just need a capital and some need that gap financing, right? So what I think we'll see is if we open it January and then July is those 2 years is kind of this year, next year in 2026, we'll probably see what kind of gauge of interest that we'll have from that standpoint there. So
So you envision a window, an open
Yes,
window
yeah.
rather than just
continuous opening.
applications
Yeah.
until it's gone.
I think we'll see what we talked about at the Economic Development Board, and I think this is something for the city and the Urban Renewal Board to think about is really having a business appreciation event in January. And then to be able to announce this at the business appreciation event. But I've also found that some of our businesses just need different support in different capacities. So we can bring in Business Oregon to have them on the panel to talk about, if there's opportunity for export strategy or to help them think about expansion. Also, Clackamas County has been doing several grants here just recently. We've had some companies within Sandy that applied for that. We won't know about that until May, but they're probably going to continue to do that. Also around tourism, we're a big tourism economy here, so thinking about tourism opportunities. And then working with the Mount Hood Community College on the SDVC programs, there's some opportunities to help our businesses. Sometimes they just need like a little help on how they get to that next step and grow their business. So really think of like inclusively having a panel to be able to help educate them or provide assistance or better ways to connect. But this would be a great opportunity, I think, for the Urban Renewal Board, the chair or in this council to come and announce these, like, hey, this is what we're doing for the city. These are steps that we're taking to move some of these properties forward to their next step too.
And just to follow up on your question, I'm pretty sure we talked about this just being this budget, this urban renewal budget cycle.
Yep.
So that's a figure that's plotted between January and the end of the budget.
So a year and a half.
It's-
And then,
Yeah,
and then we would,
biennial.
and then we would see how well this project launches and see if we could adjust those numbers for the next budget cycle, depending upon need.
Sure. So if you're doing 6 months roughly open windows, do you want us to take that 100,000 and split that into roughly thirds so that you don't give away so that you limit each window to a certain amount?
We didn't talk about open windows, like what I heard you saying earlier.
I
I'm
just-
going to defer to the executive director
Yeah,
on the
well, so I
money.
think, there's,
I want to make sure there's an opportunity
yeah.
for somebody who comes in after the window, doesn't have to wait 2 years to get in the queue.
Sure. So I think the first thing I would say is conceptual, having some open windows so that we can better prepare and track internally when is there an application season, so to speak, when that closes, have a more routine process than just the willy-nilly like, hey, we got a grant, let's bring it to the Urban Renewal Board and talk about it. So trying to have some more structure to it, I think, was the intent of those open windows.
I also like capping it because it minimizes the amount of overhead you have to do to administrate it at any one time, as opposed to
100%.
taking all of it at once.
100%. That said, and John spoke to this, especially in the infancy stages of this, we might see for businesses that need that lower level grant amount just to help sort of kickstart and conceptualize their idea, where maybe, 18 months from now, then we see 4 or 5 capital grant requests. And so these are just some framework dollar amounts that we've worked out that fit within the existing budget. I think this first sort of open season is going to help give us the idea of, do we need to have it more structured, to your point, board member Hokinson? And say we're only gonna do 2 now, two 6 months from now. So I kind of just need to gauge the interest before I can give you a solid answer on that. But I think it's safe to assume that you'd have at least probably 2 applicants
I think so.
with this opening
Absolutely.
proposal.
I think when you announce it in January, we'll have, we know, talking to some of the business owners and property owners, I've sat down, talked with them, what kind of would help them kind of get to the next step. So I think we could see applicants in maybe each of the categories, I think, so, and again, to, the executive directors, I think we'll kind of gauge an interest from that standpoint there too.
I'll just offer briefly that we do have $400,000 built into the existing urban renewal budget for grant programs. So
We can change that, right?
we can change that very easily. There's definitely adequate funding within the urban renewal budget to absorb, if you wanted to do 6 of those, initial grant phases instead of 4, and that's 150,000. I mean, there's money to restructure
Once again, I'm
if
not
interest
proposing a
in need be.
number, I'm just want to make sure that it's not a one shot.
You wanna make sure
Gone.
everybody's
Yeah.
included.
And that we have, and the
Yeah.
people who don't even know they need it
I
yet,
think we all get that.
right,
Yep.
there'll be an opportunity for it.
What's the protection for the district if someone were to default on the loan?
Default on the loan.
Mhm.
So
I think
Start.
the number one is we will require 3 years of their past, county statements, so income statements. And also their balance sheet. So we're not going to be making a investment in a firm or a company or a business that doesn't meet those qualifications.
John, can you kind of talk a little bit about administration of how
Yeah,
this would
so
work?
once they submit that, we'll run some test numbers and look at what their ability to
Okay.
what is the opportunity for this investment?
Mhm.
If someone just opened up, hypothetically, a week ago and didn't have, doesn't, we want to see folks that are invested in the community that have been here, right? And again, they have to be transparent. So if they want to, we're looking to make a long-term investment
Mhm.
here with these dollars, so they gotta be transparent with their accounting statements. And when we review that, we can make a determination if it's a good investment or not a good investment. And we won't bring anything forward if it doesn't meet the metrics for what we have within the requirements for that too, so.
And
Yeah.
ultimately, we'd lien the property for any outstanding loan
Yeah.
balance.
That's,
we have
that's,
that.
that's
That's what I
what I was
wanted.
looking for.
Yeah, but thank you for all the other information that,
And the
I
way
would have
that,
asked that as well.
the way it's set up is kind of having it that kind of stuff administered by a third party.
We would help administer it, and we want to see people that create good jobs, we want good investment, and again, this, the great thing about the urban renewal district, it's already sharing revenue with the other taxing districts, so it's a win-win for all the taxing districts, but it helps us move those properties forward or those businesses to the next step, so.
So leaning, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I love it. I think it's brilliant. My only thought and concern, well, not my only one, but Ignite, Sandy, that makes me nervous just because we've had some wildfire close calls in the
It's Ignite Growth.
Ignite,
Oh,
Ignite growth, but just the Ignite word, makes me a little,
Yeah, as far as the
I know.
branding.
yeah, which I'm fine when the rainy season, but then when we get, to mid-September, I don't know, maybe I'm just being ridiculous, but at first thought I was. If nobody else thinks it's.
I was neutral on it.
Okay. Doesn't give
Dawn's
anybody else
usually the
pause.
one that has word issues.
I know, but I don't know why it gave me pause. If nobody else gave me pause, then fine, but.
Well, I think for me, what I like about it is it does have this third party administration, so. They have the expertise, to be able to look at whether it's, a good bet where these people have the capacity to kind of, see it to the end and the determination and the funding available. And we don't, we won't be seeing people's, private financial information, that'll be, so I like that part of it because we need to kind of be a step away from it. But,
Is there a vendor already in mind, or would we find one as part of this process?
they already do that as part of their business. I mean,
Would we-
you know, Tyler,
Would we have to put that out to bid, competitive
I
bid?
think it's part of Healthy Sustainable Communities contractual relationship that we have and the services that they provide. So John and his team would be able to do that analysis and make those recommendations.
In the interest of transparency, I would want to have at least a comparable pricing for something like that, for a loan administration, the loan administration
Mhm.
part of that. Because we have, like, no offense, but, you know, we got Clackamas County Bank, what would they charge us to do something just from the administration alone?
Yeah. Let me ask you a question on the
Yeah.
spot, because we hadn't talked about this, but is there a separate charge for that outside of the
The main,
retainer that we have currently?
the main thing that we would do is review we have metrics that we do to review the balance sheets and the income statements. And from that, we can, within our retainer, we can do that work. And then make a recommendation to you and staff, like, this is a good investment, these are the criteria that it meets. The only thing that I would say that really, when you think about like the bank, what we're trying to do is like, they wouldn't be like administrating a loan from that standpoint there, right? Because the first two programs are grants,
Right.
so we'd be
We're just
recommendation
talking
of
about the
grant. So the third is we would be making a recommendation to staff, and then I believe that Tyler can come up with like the process of the collection. That's pretty simple that we could work through in that standpoint there. Does that make sense there?
I think your question specifically was about the review process, right? Having an independent or ensuring that we aren't getting
No,
charged.
No, it was actually twofold. When I first pitched this idea of a loan to you, your concern was staff administration, don't want to be processing loan payments every month and so forth. And so my fallback, agreed with. Bank or somebody to take a fee. Okay, and so I just wanted to follow up, whether you're the administration service for processing payments, or whether we're still sending that somewhere else, or whether we're expecting the guys upstairs.
So I think, excuse me, sorry. I do have, reservations around having another loan program or, process that we have to have staff time devoted to the follow-up calls and the late notices and all of that. I will say that, we do have built in with this into the existing city budget, an added finance staff member that's supposed to, in theory, upon successful recruitment, start in early 2026. So we are beefing up some staff time. I think we could probably absorb it. Again, that's going to be dependent upon how many loan programs we start managing. At one point, we were managing 6 covered structure repayment plans. Those were a much more willy-nilly process that didn't have a robust, financial review component. And so there was a little bit of a challenge with some of those business owners getting timely payments. I think this process would lend itself to a better outcome as far as timeliness and
You could always
efficient
change if it
payment.
becomes burdensome.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we could always.
Lindy, how about inspire or energize?
Ooh,
do you have a preference?
Good old ChatGPT.
Take credit for that.
Yeah.
What's that?
Do you have a preference on this?
No,
one?
I mean, if nobody else is concerned about it, then.
I like energize personally.
Yeah, me too, yeah.
I was neutral on the other one, but I'm positive on it.
Accelerate, activate.
Yeah, any of those, yeah.
Yes,
Also
yes,
good words.
yes. Maybe put them all together into one big, really.
There you go.
Just do a giant acronym.
We'll rotate them. Each phase.
Now, I noticed that you don't have any of, on the capital improvement grant program, you have 400,000. And I think before it said, a maximum $100,000
It's at the bottom of the page.
at the bottom.
100,000 up to 50%.
Mhm.
Yeah, one of them's got it in the first bullet, the other two have it at the bottom of the page, so
Okay.
it's just a formatting thing.
All right.
I like this program, you guys. Thank you very much.
I like
Thank
it.
you.
I have a question about the relationship between business owner and property owner. especially when
Yeah.
it comes to leasing properties and things like that,
Mhm.
or even looking
Yeah.
at financials.
Yeah, I had that.
We're gonna have brand new people potentially coming in that won't have any 3-year look back. I think we want to make sure that we have other ways of demonstrating, financial success and maybe their personal financial statement, or maybe even personal guarantees or anything.
Exactly, yeah.
Look at those sort of things.
Hmm.
But I also want to make sure that our building owners are on the hook for this. I think that was one of the gaps in the former program, is that it wasn't always the signee on the application, the grant wasn't always the building owner, and getting them vested in this, I think is something.
We did modify that approach when we did the covered
Mm-hmm.
structure program, where if the person requesting the grant was not the property owner, they had to have a property owner signature and then support before we move forward with that. So we could probably tidy that up a little bit more, but we have
Almost
implemented.
wanted Co-applicant status.
yeah.
Sort of thing.
And ultimately, we needed that before we could leave the property, because the property owner wasn't authorizing the addition to their property and sort of backing it. Like, what leg do we have to stand on at the end of the day? So.
I think this way, we're also making sure that we don't have these silent landlords out there that are active in whatever it is we're trying to do. They're vested too.
Mhm.
Talking about launching in January at an appreciation dinner.
Mhm.
And how, everybody within the urban renewal district is invited, or how is that? How,
We talked at the Economic Development Advisory Board meeting about, launching this in January, having a business appreciation meeting. I think it'd be great if the board was there, because, this is, we ultimately funding it, I think it's a great time to, do it with the chamber, announce that, get the businesses there, have a panel also, we can talk about that at the beginning, but then have a panel that to discuss other opportunities for business owners to be able to that are available for them, right? So I think it's a great way to you're doing so much for the business community to get out in front to show them, like, sure, we're working on the sewer, but like, we're helping existing property owners, multi-generational people, like, how do we move them forward? And this is a great opportunity for them. Plus, here's some other resources to help you move forward, right? And just bringing that awareness is huge, and getting some of the lenders there and other folks, I think it'll be really successful for the community from that standpoint.
I'd like to see us expand that.
Yeah.
So the invitations go to area businesses, especially, Sandy area for sure.
Oh, yeah, no, it would go to all, what do you mean area?
Not
business?
just urban renewal, but Sandy area, outside of Sandy.
I think it should. yeah, too.
Outside this.
Yeah, and the reason I'm thinking that is we got the same people doing the same businesses for years, generations, multi-generations, and some of the renewal is going to take some fresh blood, and maybe it's somebody coming in to make an investment from outside. I just want to make sure that we're targeting some. I have somebody in mind who approached me last week about.
Who's gonna
this
put a
very thing.
business though inside the urban renewal district?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
you're not talking about
he's
finding
outside.
groups
Okay,
outside of
that,
Sandy.
that's fine, that's
He's
fine,
currently outside.
that's fine, but if
Yeah.
they're gonna come in, because in my mind, this has to go to businesses that are in the urban renewal district.
Yeah.
But if it's somebody that's coming and gonna be in
Yeah,
that, then
let's
that's
say-
fine.
Exactly. So
At
you got
first I
somebody
thought you
who's
were
got-
like, we need
maybe
to go
they're just
outside,
Cicada,
I'm like,
but maybe they can do a Sandy urban renewal district add-on, so we're looking for that expansion, that opportunity.
And I think we're gonna be advertising it in the newspaper. We're gonna be obviously reaching out, with invitations to this one event. But we're also gonna have stuff on our website and try to
Yeah.
get the word out to all.
It sounds like we're all on the same page, so.
The thing that also was important to me is having these, Business Oregon, the Mount Hood Economic Alliance that Chris is representing us on, the Small Business Development, and the Clackamas County Economic Development folks, who are all giving away grants that.
So that I'll be
not only-
there to
That,
talk
that can
about it.
supplement,
Mhm.
they can be, be the match if they
It's
need
like
it.
a
So,
high school job fair for grownups.
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, it's
what
just,
the local businesses may not know is available to them.
yeah, I mean, that's the thing is I think,
It's, I think we don't, that's such a huge deal. I remember being a business owner and just trying to find things, and I know even in my short duration doing that. I probably barely scratched the surface on what I could have.
We
had-
don't know what you don't know.
Right.
Yeah, Mr. Gambino went after, a Clackamas County Economic Development Grant for $100,000. So it's not,
Right.
it's a good amount of money. Hans Whipper from Whippersnappers did he use economic development? Not an economic development grant to help get his businesses started. So I think a lot of it is just that people don't know what's available out there. And so we're trying to kind of, get, through John, help advertise those opportunities when they come up.
At the Mount Hood Economic Alliance, the loans are secured by collateral, so you have to have some existing collateral to get one, but.
Well, and that's why I think
But it's good for them.
Right.
as we start thinking about this, we think of our peer networks, some of them have collateral and are looking for investment opportunities. We don't, and we don't know a lot of them, but let's make sure they get invites and bring them along, even if they don't have a project in mind, maybe some pairing them up with somebody.
Sounds like
Crickets.
there's some favorable support for
Yeah, I like it.
moving
Nice.
forward.
I wanted to bring
I
up,
just have a business in mind who's struggling, and
Okay.
I will be excited to invite them.
I don't think we should limit the loan to $1 million.
What was that? Say that.
I don't think we should limit the loan to $1 million at this point. I mean, every one of them would have to come to us for approval anyway. What if it was a big deal?
I'll say, I brought this up at Economic Alliance.
Yeah,
I said, why, who determines this cap? I was told unequivocally, this is just a starting point.
Yeah.
If we want
We
to
could always
expand it in
right,
6 months because we've used it, we can.
Yeah.
It's just a starting point. It doesn't limit us to that.
Let's see what happens.
Just, yeah.
I just wonder if even having a $5 million limit
Mm.
would attract a different
Oh,
set
I
of
see what you're
fish.
saying.
Well,
That's- that's-
I'd be a bit.
Not committing to
Into
it.
bigger payments, in which
Yeah.
case the payback would be a lot steeper.
Right, yeah.
So we do have, I don't have the number
Uh-huh.
off the top of my head,
Mhm.
but we do have a, debt coverage requirement that we have to maintain within the urban renewal district for the existing bond. And there's only about 3.3 million in contingency. Shouldn't say only, it's a big number. So,
Yeah,
but to the $5 million, we don't have that much
Right,
cash. So
yeah.
that would involve other sort of
What if,
financial instruments that the board would need to go and issue a bond or do something like that.
What if kind of middle ground, Don, instead, when it gets presented, what if it's, hey, it's $1 million, but maybe expanded? Because then you still,
I mean,
you
it
don't
just-
get people who are worried about the cap, but in the same token, like, I would be, aside from what Tyler said, I would be concerned at getting someone in a big loan. You're talking about a whole nother type of business or person.
Yeah, this isn't, one of our existing stores.
No,
With a
I'm
face
picking
storefront,
up,
right?
I get where you're
This is a
going.
major investment.
Right,
And it would have to be the corresponding project with financials and everything else behind it.
but I mean, I would like to think, I think there's enough
I think we do
favoritism
it.
for the project that if we
I
had
just-
somebody that came in and they needed a little bit more money and we were against that cap, that we could negotiate.
If we had 3 million, then I'd suggest, let's just make it 3 million with a target, if we had it, whatever we think we could do with, that's one less vote, one less decision, one less risk for a potential investor to have to overcome.
As long as it doesn't financially impact the district in a detrimental way.
Correct.
yeah, I feel like, I
But we
kinda
have,
want-
that's all in contingency right now. And even then, it might stay there. We might not get a big fish for 2 years or 5 years or whatever.
You've been wanting to talk.
I'm sorry.
It's
the
okay, I was gonna
higher-
say something.
No, that's fine. With the higher 3 million, 5 million, whatever the number we're talking about now, with the $1 million cap, for me, I would think that may be more incentive for those businesses to go look funding grants and other sources of funding so they could be more self-sufficient, where they get the boost from us enough to get them over, the hump. But then they've got that ball in their court too. It's less stress for them paying back this huge loan. It's less stress on us and not having that money to spread out among other applicants who may or may not show up and need that money. But it also creates kind of a goal, an incentive to where you've got to look other places too. We're happy to help, but we're not the answer to everybody's. We're not gonna be able to fund everything that everyone wants, and so maybe it's a tough love
So
kind of
I'm
thing.
gonna,
let me counter, can I?
sure,
It's up to you.
I'm just gonna say. Go ahead.
My counter to that is the difference between a loan and a grant is that a loan, especially if it's secured, is not a risk, financial risk to the city. What it is a cash flow, short-term versus long-term. So if we loan somebody $1 million, we're just planning on it being paid back over a certain period of
Right.
time. Whereas if we grant them something, it's gone and we wash our hands of it. The other point is,
The grant wouldn't
How
be from
much-
us though, it would be somewhere else.
so the grants, this is only about loans that I'm talking about. And let's take one of our nasty projects, like one of the zombie buildings, the old La Bamba building or something. If somebody came in with a really great plan, I don't know what it was, a thing, and they wanted to take that over, but they wanted $1 million, they'd match it, but they want $1 million loan. Would that be a good investment from an urban renewal perspective? Finally get that thing moving and there. Maybe that's too small a property for $1 million, but you get my point. It's like, why limit a great idea? If they're coming in and they're bringing 10 million of their own and they're asking for another million, that's different than if they're bringing 100,000 of their own and asking for $1 million.
But that's also where we leave leeway, where we can,
That's where the criteria on how much financial backing do they have to have, we're not taking somebody with a bright idea and
Right.
money.
my concern is if somebody comes and wants $5 million and that's what we have. Which it doesn't sound like we do have that contingency, 3.3 is the max. And it seems like a great idea and we can do it, and then. We're kind of out of options for anybody else who comes forward, and then they're left with. No urban renewal fund from us, and they have to rely on something else in order to continue their business or expand their business. That's my concern.
And I would
Keep in
probably add on
mind-
to that point about, we're not Clackamas County Bank or another bank. They have, if they can't get $1 million loan from Clackamas County Bank, are we willing to kind of put ourselves in that position to, say yes when they're saying no for probably a good reason? I just have a concern. I want to see this kick off desperately, but I also want to kind of, see it be successful on the scale that we've got lined out right now. And if it is successful, we can go bigger, if it's appropriate and if there's something really attractive. I don't want to kind of say no to it, but I also don't want to kind of start saying $5 million when all we have in the whole urban renewal fund right now is 3 million. Because that's got to last us, a few years.
That's what I was gonna
We
say.
have 30
you-
million over the life of the bond,
You-
right? Over the district.
We have 14.
So
14.6.
we have the maximum indebtedness is 67 million. We've spent somewhere in the ballpark of like 30 of that. So there is
70 million
capacity
play
to
with.
spend in urban renewal, but you
Just
have.
not right now.
you
Well,
have-
but I want to be careful because we don't know, I mean, I'm fine with moving this project forward as is.
Mhm.
And then just having this conversation, if we do get a lot of interest and things like that, having this conversation. We don't know when another 2020 or something crazy could happen. And so I just don't want to overextend the urban renewal district
Yeah.
unnecessarily, in my mind. I'm just one person.
Well, the other side of it is just, and I may be speaking out of cuff, but it's a test. We've never had this before. We're gonna open it up. If we have $1 million, the max is 250 on it. So you're getting at least 4 applicants. If you go to 1 million, you're gonna limit it to 1 person at 1 million if we keep it at 1 million. So you really, have a double-edged sword here. I like the bigger hook you're talking about because it entices me to think bigger. But at the same side of it, let's start modest and see what hook we can catch with this hook and see how it plays. If people start asking us, hey, you should have a bigger program for us bigger fish, then great. Then we come back here and talk about that and what's available, and maybe we change the criteria.
Okay.
And then also
And I'm
probably
open to
work
that.
with the county and
Right.
other bigger fish that have, larger fishing.
Right, so
spots to-
larger ponds.
Right.
And we can certainly, on the application page, say, if your project falls outside the scope of these programs, please contact John or myself to
Yeah.
further discuss opportunities.
Yeah.
You know, if there is that golden goose that is like, hey, I really want to do this.
Yeah.
Because you
There's
don't
no
want to
reason
limit
why we
somebody
can't
coming
bring that to council.
and
have
asking that
our-
might
the
be
board and have a
available,
conversation, right?
that sees these small numbers and be like, eh,
And
that's not us.
to the mayor's point, I mean, I see this, if I'm putting together a big project, this is just one piece of the total financing package. I would not want to approve something where this was the financing package.
Right.
Well, sounds like there's support, so we need a motion to, if there's interest in, making a motion, we need a motion to adopt the, are we changing the name?
Yeah, there's a motion to change the name.
I heard people
What are we doing,
liking
Lynn?
Energize Sandy or Accelerate Sandy were the two that I saw the most head
So
nods
the
on.
suggested motion language is NA.
Yeah, what does that mean?
Oh,
Well, that's not
Recommendation,
bad.
recommendations, and if
My
desired, move to
apologies.
authorize staff. So I'd just like a motion to
Thanks.
modify the name of it and move to authorize staff to begin implementing the programs. Can I get that?
I'll make a motion to modify the name to Energize. Sandy, is that Energize Growth? And what am I missing?
Authorize
And
staff.
And authorize staff to begin implementing the programs.
Make a motion.
So the name is Energize Growth. No Sandy, just Energize Growth. I just wanted to clarify the motion.
That's what I heard. That's
What-
my understanding.
Okay, and the proposal before that was Ignite Growth.
Ignite Growth.
Well, I mean, it says, the cover of this says Ignite Growth, Building Sandy's Economic Future Through Strategic Investment. It's just a title. so-
Then I second that.
Okay, I have a motion from board member Hanley and a second from board member Hawkinson to modify the name and move, have the staff move forward on implementing programs. All those in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
John. You're-
See everyone in January.
We're really thrilled.
We'll see what
I
happens.
know, I
This
know.
is-
Just kidding.
For me, this is 5 years in the making.
I know, yeah, John, we
I'm
really
excited for it.
appreciate all the help.
I love the healthy
Giving us
conversation you
on
guys
all
talking
this.
to, like building on it,
More,
I could
more,
talk
more.
more.
I know.
I think that's great. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, John.
We're looking forward to see what it produces for us. Great.
I'm looking forward to that, go on that fair, whatever we're gonna call it.
Yeah, we'll work out a name.
Energize
I
We
did-
Growth Fair.
I have one more question. Are the loans, is that kind of a reimbursement loan? Like, you know, do we just cut a check for them or do we just pay certain materials or what have you?
Yeah, so I would not just cut a check. The funding would need to go towards something that is, integrated or affixed to the building, because we're gonna be leaning the property, so there's gotta be some tie to the,
Like a construction loan maybe
yeah.
with releases.
So it could be, if it was a construction loan, it could be draws. If it was, hey, we're going to, I don't know, this is paying for all the facade improvements, let's say, that are Sandy style, as soon as they provide an invoice, we can cut a check very, very quickly. So, if the work is done and they have an invoice and they're waiting to pay their contractor, we could help, prevent them from having to use their own funds and get reimbursed. We could probably cut a check directly to that contractor if we needed, or
Okay.
something like that. We can work out payment terms, but I guess my point is that very, very quick turnaround time, but I don't love here's your blank check.
Right.
Submit a report to me on how you spent it and then hope for the best. That's not what I'm looking forward.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, it's gonna close any other comments on urban renewal? Okay, I'm gonna close the urban renewal meeting at 6:39 and suggest that we get back at 7.